Good day, beautiful souls. Today I want to talk to you about something we all do, often without even realizing it, the way we speak to ourselves. The conversations we have with ourselves are some of the most powerful we'll ever have. Our thoughts shape our experiences, and when we talk to ourselves in loving, supportive ways, we invite healing, joy, and abundance into our lives. Let's explore how we can transform our inner dialogue, guiding it toward love, kindness, and empowerment. When I talk to myself with love, my entire world changes. It's a simple but profound truth that the way we speak to ourselves directly shapes the life we live. Our thoughts, particularly the ones we silently repeat day after day, create the framework of our reality. For many of us, these thoughts often go unnoticed, running like a background program in our minds. Yet, whether we realize it or not, these internal conversations have an immense impact on how we feel, the choices we make, and what we believe we deserve. Imagine how different your life could be if every thought you had about yourself was filled with love, kindness, and compassion. Picture waking up each morning, looking in the mirror, and the first thought that enters your mind is, "I am worthy of all the good life has to offer." What if, instead of criticizing yourself for past mistakes, you said, "I am doing the best I can, and I'm proud of myself for growing each day"? These small, loving shifts in self-talk have the power to transform not only your mindset, but also the energy you carry into the world. When I talk to myself with love, I send a message to every part of my being that I am deserving of care, respect, and kindness. This isn't just about surface-level positivity. It's about deeply believing that I am enough as I am. Society often teaches us to be self-critical, to focus on what we lack or what we perceive as flaws. Many of us have internalized these messages, and they manifest in the form of harsh self-judgments. We may find ourselves thinking, "I'm not smart enough, I'll never be successful," or "I'm not good enough." These negative beliefs can become ingrained and limit us in profound ways. However, the beauty of our minds is that they are malleable. We have the power to change the narrative at any moment. The first step is awareness, becoming conscious of the negative self-talk that may have been playing on repeat. Once we bring these thoughts to light, we can begin to gently replace them with words that are kinder, more loving, and ultimately more true to who we really are. For example, instead of thinking, "I always mess things up," I can pause and say to myself, "I am learning and growing. And it's okay to make mistakes along the way." This simple shift in perspective changes how I feel about myself and opens up space for self-compassion. When I talk to myself with love, I remind myself that I am human, and being human means being imperfect. It means allowing myself to learn from my experiences without the burden of harsh self-criticism. Talking to myself with love also means embracing the idea that I am deserving of happiness and success, regardless of past failures or setbacks. Too often we let our mistakes define us, believing that they somehow diminish our worth. But when I speak to myself with love, I understand that my worth is inherent. It's not tied to what I achieve or how others perceive me. It simply is. I am worthy of love and respect simply because I exist. This shift in self-talk not only affects how I see myself, but also how I interact with the world. When I approach myself with love, I am more likely to extend that same love to others. I become more patient, understanding, and compassionate, not only with myself, but with the people around me. My relationships improve because I am no longer looking for external validation to fill a void within. I already know that I am enough. Loving self-talk also has a profound impact on how I approach challenges and obstacles. When I speak to myself with love, I cultivate a sense of inner resilience. Instead of viewing setbacks as failures, I see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of thinking, "I can't do this," I remind myself, "I am capable of overcoming this challenge." This shift in mindset allows me to face difficulties with a sense of confidence and calm, knowing that I have the inner strength to navigate whatever life throws my way. The power of loving self-talk is also closely tied to our physical well-being. Numerous studies have shown that our thoughts can influence our health. When I speak to myself with love, I reduce stress, which in turn has a positive impact on my physical body. My muscles relax, my heart rate slows, and my immune system functions more effectively. On a deeper level, when I talk to myself with love, I am sending healing energy to every cell in my body. I am telling my body that it is safe, that it is cared for, and that it is valued. In this way, loving self-talk becomes a form of self-care, a daily practice of nurturing my mind, body, and spirit. It's a practice that requires consistency and patience, but the rewards are immeasurable. Over time, as I continue to talk to myself with love, I notice a profound shift in how I feel about myself and how I experience the world. I become more at peace, more joyful, and more in tune with the abundance that life has to offer. In moments when I forget to speak kindly to myself, I remind myself that it's okay. I gently bring my awareness back to the present and choose again. I choose love because I know that when I talk to myself with love, I create a life that reflects that love back to me. It's a practice that is always available to me, no matter where I am or what I'm going through. And each time I choose love, I take one step closer to living the life I was truly meant to live, a life filled with joy, peace, and boundless possibilities. We all have an inner critic, that voice in our heads that speaks to us with judgment, doubt, and harshness. It's the voice that tells us we're not good enough, that we'll never succeed, or that our mistakes define who we are. For many of us, this inner critic has been a constant companion for years, perhaps even for as long as we can remember. But here's the truth: that voice is not you. It's not the real, authentic you. The inner critic is a learned voice, one that stems from old patterns, past experiences, and societal conditioning. And the good news is, we don't have to listen to it. We can choose to release the inner critic and replace it with a voice of compassion, kindness, and love. The inner critic often develops as a defense mechanism, a way to protect ourselves from perceived failure or rejection. Perhaps it was formed during childhood when we were told we weren't good enough, smart enough, or capable enough. Or maybe it emerged from societal expectations, where perfectionism and comparison were constantly reinforced. Over time, we internalized these messages, and they became the lens through which we view ourselves. The inner critic thrives on fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. But while the inner critic may have served a purpose at some point in our lives, it is no longer necessary. In fact, it often does more harm than good. When we listen to the inner critic, we limit ourselves. We hold back from pursuing our dreams, from embracing our authentic selves, and from experiencing the fullness of life. The inner critic keeps us trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and negativity, preventing us from growing and evolving. Releasing the inner critic begins with awareness. The first step is to recognize when that critical voice arises. Pay attention to your thoughts throughout the day. How often do you find yourself saying, "I can't do this, I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed"? These are the telltale signs of the inner critic at work. Once you become aware of these thoughts, you can begin to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this really true? Often you'll find that the answer is no. The inner critic's judgments are rarely based on reality. They are based on fear and limiting beliefs. When I catch myself engaging in negative self-talk, I pause and take a deep breath. I remind myself that this is simply the voice of the inner critic, not my true self. I don't need to believe everything it says. In fact, I have the power to choose a different narrative. Instead of criticizing myself, I choose to speak to myself with love and understanding. For example, if I find myself thinking, "I always mess things up," I shift my perspective and say, "I am learning and growing." Mistakes are part of the process. This small change in language makes a big difference in how I feel about myself. Another important aspect of releasing the inner critic is recognizing that perfection is an illusion. The inner critic often holds us to impossibly high standards, expecting us to be flawless in everything we do. But the truth is, no one is perfect, and striving for perfection only sets us up for disappointment and frustration. When I release the need for perfection, I free myself from the pressure of constantly trying to measure up to unrealistic expectations. I allow myself to be human, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. Self-compassion is the antidote to the inner critic. Instead of judging myself harshly, I choose to treat myself with the same kindness and understanding that I would offer to a dear friend. When a friend is going through a difficult time or makes a mistake, we don't berate them or tell them they're not good enough. We offer support, encouragement, and love. So why should we treat ourselves any differently? When I talk to myself with compassion, I create an inner environment that is nurturing and supportive rather than harsh and critical. One powerful technique for releasing the inner critic is to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness allows us to observe our thoughts without getting caught up in them. When the inner critic arises, instead of reacting to it or believing its negative messages, I simply acknowledge it. I might say to myself, "I hear the voice of the inner critic right now, but I don't need to engage with it." By observing the inner critic from a place of non-judgmental awareness, I create space between myself and the critical thoughts. This distance helps me realize that I am not my thoughts, and I don't have to let them control me. Another helpful practice is to reframe the inner critic's messages. Often the inner critic speaks in absolute terms: "You always fail, you'll never be successful." These statements are rarely, if ever, true. By reframing these thoughts, I can challenge their validity. For example, if the inner critic tells me, "You're not good at this," I can reframe it to say, "I am still learning, and with practice I will improve." This shift in perspective not only quiets the inner critic, but also empowers me to take positive action. It's also important to recognize that releasing the inner critic is not a one-time event, it's an ongoing process. The inner critic may continue to show up from time to time, especially during moments of stress or vulnerability. But with practice, I become better at recognizing it and responding with love and compassion. Each time I choose to release the inner critic, I strengthen my ability to cultivate a positive and supportive inner dialogue. Over time, as I release the inner critic, I begin to notice profound changes in my life. I feel lighter, more at peace, and more confident in myself and my abilities. I no longer allow fear and self-doubt to hold me back. Instead, I embrace my imperfections and see them as opportunities for growth. I trust in my own worthiness and know that I am deserving of love, success, and happiness. The journey of releasing the inner critic is one of self-discovery and self-liberation. It's about letting go of the old, limiting beliefs that no longer serve me and embracing a new way of being, one that is rooted in love, acceptance, and compassion. As I release the inner critic, I reconnect with my true self, the part of me that is whole, worthy, and complete just as I am. And in doing so, I create space for a life filled with joy, possibility, and peace. Affirmations are one of the most powerful tools we have to create the life we desire. They are not simply wishful thinking or positive words strung together. They are declarations that, when repeated consistently and with conviction, reshape our subconscious mind and alter the way we see ourselves and the world around us. The words we speak, especially the ones we repeat over and over, have the power to influence our thoughts, emotions, and ultimately our reality. This is because our subconscious mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It takes everything we feed it as truth. Therefore, by choosing to affirm positive, empowering statements, we begin to create a new narrative for our lives. When I say, "I am worthy of love," even if I don't fully believe it at first, I am planting a seed in my subconscious mind. Over time, as I continue to repeat this affirmation, it begins to take root, slowly dissolving the old, limiting beliefs that may have been telling me otherwise. The more I affirm this belief, the more it becomes ingrained in my subconscious, and eventually it begins to shape my experience of the world. I start to notice that I attract more loving relationships, that I feel more confident in expressing love, and that I'm more open to receiving love. This is the power of affirmations. They create a shift from the inside out. One of the key reasons affirmations work so effectively is that they help us redirect our focus. Many of us go through life repeating negative affirmations without even realizing it. We might say things like, "I'm so bad at this, I never have enough money," or "I'll never be happy." These are affirmations too, but they are reinforcing limiting beliefs and negative thought patterns. And because our subconscious mind is always listening, it absorbs these statements and creates a reality that mirrors them. If I constantly affirm that I am lacking, I will unconsciously create situations in my life where I feel that lack. However, when I consciously choose positive affirmations, I am shifting my focus from what I don't want to what I do want. Instead of affirming lack, I affirm abundance. Instead of affirming failure, I affirm success. By doing so, I start to align my thoughts, emotions, and actions with the outcomes I desire. For example, if I affirm I am capable and successful, I begin to see opportunities for growth and achievement that I might have overlooked before. My mind becomes attuned to success, and I start to take actions that move me in that direction. Affirmations also work on an energetic level. Everything in the universe, including our thoughts and words, carries a specific vibration. When I affirm positive, high vibration statements such as "I am healthy," "I am prosperous," or "I am joyful," I am aligning myself with the frequency of health, prosperity, and joy. This energetic alignment is what allows us to attract experiences and circumstances that resonate with the energy we are putting out into the world. It's the principle of like attracts. Like, the more I affirm positivity, the more I attract positive outcomes. Of course, simply repeating affirmations without feeling them or believing in them will not produce the desired results. The true power of affirmations lies in the emotion and belief behind them. When I say, "I am confident," I don't just say the words mechanically. I allow myself to feel what it would be like to truly embody confidence. I visualize myself standing tall, speaking with clarity, and moving through life with a sense of ease and assurance. By engaging both my mind and emotions, I send a stronger message to my subconscious that this is my reality. In the beginning, it's normal to feel some resistance when working with affirmations, especially if the affirmation directly contradicts a long-held belief. For instance, if I've spent years believing that I am unworthy of success, saying I am worthy of success, saying I am worthy of success might feel uncomfortable or even untrue. This is because the old belief is deeply ingrained in my subconscious. However, with patience and persistence, I can begin to shift that belief. Each time I repeat the new affirmation, I am weakening the hold of the old belief and strengthening the new one. Over time, the new belief becomes more dominant, and my reality begins to reflect it. One of the beautiful things about affirmations is that they can be tailored to address any area of life. Whether it's health, relationships, career, or self-esteem, there is an affirmation for every situation. If I want to improve my health, I might affirm my body is strong and healthy. If I'm seeking more financial abundance, I could say, I am open to receiving unlimited wealth. The key is to choose affirmations that resonate with me personally and that align with the changes I want to create in my life. Consistency is also crucial when working with affirmations. Our subconscious mind thrives on repetition, so it's important to make affirmations a regular part of our daily routine. I might repeat them in the morning when I first wake up, during moments of quiet reflection throughout the day, or before I go to bed at night. I can also write them down in a journal or post them in visible places like my mirror or workspace to keep them top of mind. The more I repeat my affirmations, the more I reinforce the new beliefs I am cultivating. It's also helpful to pair affirmations with visualization. When I say, I am successful, I can take a moment to close my eyes and imagine what success looks like for me. I see myself achieving my goals, feeling fulfilled, and enjoying the rewards of my hard work. This mental imagery helps solidify the affirmation and makes it feel more real. The more vivid and detailed the visualization, the more my subconscious mind begins to accept it as truth. In addition to creating a positive mindset, affirmations also influence our behavior. When I affirm that I am confident, I am more likely to take actions that reflect confidence. I might speak up in meetings, take on new challenges, or pursue opportunities that I would have previously avoided. As I continue to act in alignment with my affirmations, I reinforce the new beliefs I am forming, creating a positive feedback loop between my thoughts, actions, and experiences. In essence, affirmations are a way to reclaim our power. They remind us that we are the creators of our reality and that we have the ability to shape our lives through the thoughts we choose to focus on. When I consciously choose affirmations that reflect my highest potential, I am taking an active role in creating the life I want to live. Over time, as I continue to affirm these positive statements, I begin to see tangible changes in my life. Opportunities appear, relationships improve, and I feel more aligned with my true self. This is the magic of affirmations. They help us step into our power and create a reality that reflects the love, abundance, and joy that are our birthright. The words we speak to ourselves hold immense power. They shape our thoughts, influence our emotions, and ultimately define our experience of life. This is why self-talk is not just a casual internal monologue. It is a profound tool for healing. When we engage in positive, compassionate, and loving self-talk, we can transform not only our mental and emotional states, but also our physical well-being. Conversely, negative, critical self-talk can perpetuate feelings of unworthiness, stress, and even contribute to illness. Understanding the connection between our inner dialogue and our overall health allows us to harness the power of self-talk as a form of healing, one that nurtures our mind, body, and spirit. For many of us, the way we talk to ourselves is heavily influenced by past experiences and external conditioning. Over the years, we may have absorbed critical voices from authority figures, societal expectations, or painful experiences. These voices can become ingrained in our minds, manifesting as self-criticism, doubt, or judgment. We might find ourselves thinking, I'm not good enough, I'll never be successful, or I always make mistakes. These patterns of negative self-talk can become so automatic that we don't even notice how frequently we engage in them. Yet they quietly undermine our confidence and well-being, reinforcing feelings of inadequacy and stress. The first step in using self-talk as a form of healing is to become aware of these negative patterns. Healing begins with awareness. When we start to observe our internal dialogue, we may be surprised at how often we speak to ourselves in ways that we would never speak to others. If a close friend were going through a difficult time, we wouldn't say, "You're a failure," or "You'll never get it right." Instead, we'd offer words of encouragement, compassion, and support. So why should we treat ourselves any differently? When we realize that we are deserving of the same kindness we extend to others, we can begin to shift our self-talk towards healing. Once we become aware of negative self-talk, we can consciously choose to replace it with words that uplift and heal. This process doesn't happen overnight, especially if we've spent years reinforcing negative beliefs. But with consistency and patience, we can retrain our minds to speak to ourselves in a way that supports our growth and well-being. For example, instead of saying, "I'll never be good enough," we can affirm, "I am doing my best, and that is enough." Instead of thinking, "I always mess things up," we can remind ourselves, "I am learning from every experience, and it's okay to make mistakes." When we talk to ourselves with love and understanding, we create an internal environment that fosters healing. Positive self-talk reduces stress, which is a major contributor to both mental and physical illness. Stress can manifest in the body in countless ways, from tension headaches to digestive issues to weakened immune function. By soothing ourselves with gentle, reassuring words, we calm the nervous system and promote relaxation. In this way, self-talk is not just about shifting our mindset, it has a tangible impact on our physical health. There is a growing body of research that supports the connection between self-talk and physical healing. Studies have shown that people who engage in positive self-talk and maintain an optimistic outlook are more likely to recover from illness, manage pain effectively, and experience overall better health outcomes. This is partly because positive self-talk helps to reduce cortisol levels, the stress hormone that, when chronically elevated, can lead to a range of health problems, including heart disease, high blood pressure, and immune dysfunction. When we talk to ourselves in a way that promotes peace and self-compassion, we are helping our bodies to heal from the inside out. Moreover, self-talk can play a crucial role in healing emotional wounds. Many of us carry deep-seated feelings of unworthiness, guilt, or shame from past experiences. These emotional wounds can linger for years, affecting our relationships, our self-esteem, and our overall sense of happiness. However, by consciously choosing to speak to ourselves with kindness and forgiveness, we can begin to heal these old wounds. If I've been holding on to guilt for something that happened years ago, I can start by telling myself, I forgive myself for the past, and I am worthy of love and peace. Over time, as I continue to repeat this compassionate self-talk, I begin to release the emotional burden I've been carrying, allowing space for healing and growth. In addition to its emotional and physical benefits, self-talk can also be a spiritual practice. Many spiritual traditions teach that the words we speak carry energy, and that by aligning our inner dialogue with higher vibrations such as love, compassion, and gratitude, we connect with a deeper sense of purpose and peace. When we talk to ourselves in ways that honor our true nature, we align with the truth that we are inherently whole, worthy, and connected to something greater than ourselves. This spiritual alignment fosters a sense of inner peace and resilience, even in the face of life's challenges. One of the most powerful ways to use self-talk as a form of healing is through affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements that we repeat to ourselves to reinforce a desired belief or outcome. By affirming statements like, "I am healthy and strong, I am worthy of love and success," or "I trust in the process of life," we send a powerful message to our subconscious mind. Over time, these affirmations begin to replace the old, limiting beliefs that may have been keeping us stuck in negative patterns. The key to making affirmations effective is repetition and emotion. It's not enough to say the words, we must feel the truth of them in our hearts. Healing through self-talk is not about ignoring difficulties or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about acknowledging our challenges while choosing to speak to ourselves in a way that supports our well-being. Even in moments of pain or struggle, we can offer ourselves words of comfort. Instead of saying, "I'll never get through this," we can remind ourselves, "This is difficult, but I have the strength to move through it." This shift in language helps us to approach life's challenges with greater resilience and hope. Ultimately, self-talk as a form of healing is about reclaiming our power. We have the ability to choose how we speak to ourselves, and in doing so, we shape our reality. By cultivating a practice of positive, compassionate self-talk, we become active participants in our own healing journey. We learn to treat ourselves with the love and respect we deserve, and as a result, we experience greater peace, health, and fulfillment in all areas of life. Healing begins with the words we speak to ourselves, and when we choose words that uplift and nurture, we create a life that reflects the wholeness and beauty of our true selves. Forgiving ourselves can be one of the most difficult yet transformative acts of self-compassion we undertake. We often carry the weight of past mistakes, regrets, and feelings of unworthiness for years, allowing them to shape our self-image and influence our decisions. But self-forgiveness is essential for healing and growth. The way we talk to ourselves plays a pivotal role in this process. Through words, whether spoken, thought, or written, we can begin the journey towards self-forgiveness, release the emotional burdens we've been carrying, and open ourselves to a life of peace and self-acceptance. We are often our own harshest critics. The internal dialogue we have when reflecting on past mistakes can be incredibly unforgiving. We might say to ourselves, "I should have known better, how could I let that happen?" Or "I'll never be able to move past this." These kinds of thoughts create a cycle of shame and self-blame, reinforcing the idea that we are somehow fundamentally flawed or unworthy of redemption. But the truth is, no one is perfect, and we all make mistakes. Mistakes are part of being human, and they are opportunities for growth if we allow ourselves the grace to learn from them. This is where forgiving ourselves through words becomes a powerful tool for healing. The first step towards self-forgiveness is recognizing the importance of how we talk to ourselves. We need to become aware of the critical, punishing language we use and make a conscious effort to shift it. Instead of saying, "I'm a failure," we can say, "I made a mistake, but I'm learning and growing from it," rather than repeating, "I can't believe I did that." We can tell ourselves, "I am human, and I forgive myself for not being perfect." This subtle shift in language makes a world of difference because it moves us from a place of judgment and self-condemnation to one of understanding and compassion. Forgiving ourselves through words requires patience. It's not about saying one kind thing to ourselves and expecting all the guilt and regret to disappear. Forgiveness is a process, and it takes time to unravel the layers of self-judgment we've accumulated over the years. One of the most powerful ways to facilitate this process is through affirmations. Affirmations are simple, positive statements that, when repeated regularly, help to reprogram the subconscious mind. For example, an affirmation like "I forgive myself for the past, and I embrace the present with love" can gradually soften the critical voice inside and replace it with one that is more gentle and accepting. At first, using affirmations might feel strange or even uncomfortable, especially if we're not used to speaking kindly to ourselves. This is because the old patterns of self-criticism are deeply ingrained, and it can take time to undo them. But with consistency, the power of affirmations becomes evident. Each time we repeat a phrase like "I am worthy of forgiveness," we are planting a seed in our subconscious mind. Over time, that seed takes root and begins to grow, slowly dissolving the old beliefs that may have been keeping us stuck in guilt or shame. One of the reasons self-forgiveness can be so challenging is that we often hold onto the belief that we don't deserve to be forgiven. We might feel that by forgiving ourselves, we're letting ourselves off the hook, or somehow minimizing the impact of our mistakes. But forgiveness doesn't mean excusing or ignoring what happened. It means acknowledging the mistake, learning from it, and choosing to release the emotional baggage associated with it. Self-forgiveness is not a way to avoid responsibility, rather, it's a way to take responsibility for our own healing and growth. When we hold on to guilt, it weighs us down emotionally, mentally, and even physically. Guilt can manifest in the body as tension, fatigue, or even illness. It can keep us from experiencing joy, connection, and fulfillment. By choosing to forgive ourselves through our words, we are actively releasing that burden. For example, saying aloud or in our minds, "I release this guilt and forgive myself for what I didn't know then," is a way of symbolically letting go. It's a reminder that the past does not define us, and that we are always capable of change and growth. Writing can also be a powerful tool for self-forgiveness. Sometimes when the weight of guilt or shame feels overwhelming, it's hard to vocalize our feelings or even think positively. In these moments, putting pen to paper can create a safe space to explore our emotions and process our thoughts. A simple exercise might be to write a letter to ourselves, acknowledging the mistake and expressing forgiveness. The act of writing can make the process feel more tangible and real. It can also serve as a reminder that self-forgiveness is an active, ongoing practice. In this letter, we might write something like, "I acknowledge the pain this mistake has caused, but I also choose to forgive myself because I deserve to heal." As we continue to practice self-forgiveness through our words, we begin to notice a shift in how we relate to ourselves. The voice of the inner critic grows quieter, and in its place, a voice of self-compassion emerges. This new voice doesn't deny the existence of mistakes or challenges, but it speaks to us with kindness. It says, "You are doing your best," or "You are worthy of love," even when things go wrong over time. As we reinforce this loving dialogue, we start to believe it. We begin to see ourselves not through the lens of our mistakes, but through the lens of our potential and our inherent worth. Another aspect of self-forgiveness is learning to release the need for perfection. So much of our self-criticism comes from the unrealistic expectation that we should always get things right, that we should never falter or make mistakes. But perfection is not attainable, and striving for it only leads to more frustration and disappointment. By using words to remind ourselves that imperfection is a natural part of the human experience, we can begin to embrace our flaws and mistakes with more compassion. A simple affirmation like "I release the need to be perfect and I accept myself as I am" can be a powerful step toward letting go of the pressure we place on ourselves. Ultimately, self-forgiveness through words is about reclaiming our power. It's about recognizing that we have the ability to choose how we speak to ourselves, and in doing so, we shape our reality. When we talk to ourselves with love and compassion, we create an inner environment that supports healing, growth, and self-acceptance. Through kind words, affirmations, and self-compassionate dialogue, we can release the past and step into a future that is free from the weight of guilt and shame. We allow ourselves to move forward with greater peace, knowing that we are worthy of forgiveness, love, and happiness no matter what. We often hear the phrase, "be your own best friend," but rarely do we pause to truly reflect on what that means. Imagine for a moment if we treated ourselves with the same kindness, patience, and understanding that we extend to the people we love most. How different would our lives be if, instead of harsh criticism, we offered ourselves encouragement and support? Speaking to ourselves as our best friend is not just a nice idea, it's a powerful practice that can transform the way we relate to ourselves, improve our mental and emotional well-being, and enhance our ability to navigate life's challenges. Most of us would never dream of speaking to a close friend the way we sometimes speak to ourselves. If a friend makes a mistake, we reassure them that it's okay, that everyone makes mistakes, and that they'll learn and grow from the experience. We remind them of their strengths and encourage them to keep going. But when we make a mistake, our inner dialogue often sounds much harsher. "How could you be so stupid?" or "You always mess things up." This disparity between how we treat ourselves and how we treat others is at the heart of why self-talk can either uplift or diminish us. Learning to speak to ourselves as we would to a best friend starts with awareness. It requires us to pay attention to the language we use in our inner dialogue. Often we are so used to criticizing ourselves that we don't even notice we're doing it. We might think it's just a normal part of holding ourselves accountable or striving for self-improvement. However, there's a significant difference between constructive feedback and self-criticism. Constructive feedback is what we'd offer a friend. It's thoughtful, compassionate, and focused on helping them improve. Self-criticism, on the other hand, is harsh, punitive, and rooted in shame. When we become aware of these negative patterns, we can begin to challenge them and replace them with kinder, more supportive language. The essence of being our own best friend lies in offering ourselves unconditional support, especially when things don't go as planned. In moments of difficulty or failure, we often need a kind word or a comforting presence more than ever. If a friend came to us feeling overwhelmed or defeated, we'd remind them of their worth and encourage them to take things one step at a time. We'd likely tell them that they are strong, resilient, and capable of handling whatever life throws their way. This is exactly the kind of language we need to use with ourselves. Instead of spiraling into self-blame or despair, we can tell ourselves, "I'm doing my best, and that's enough," or "This is a tough moment, but I've been through hard times before, and I will get through this." Speaking to ourselves with kindness doesn't mean ignoring our mistakes or pretending that everything is always perfect. Just as we would gently help a friend see where they might have gone wrong and encourage them to do better next time, we can offer ourselves the same compassionate accountability. Instead of saying, "I messed up again, I'll never get it right," we can say, "I didn't handle that as well as I could have, but I'm learning and improving every day." This type of self-talk acknowledges the mistake while also leaving room for growth and self-compassion. Another important aspect of speaking to ourselves as our best friend is offering ourselves the same level of patience and understanding that we extend to others. If a friend is going through a hard time, we don't rush them to get over it or minimize their feelings. We hold space for their emotions, validate their experience, and remind them that it's okay to take their time in healing. Yet when it comes to our own struggles, we often pressure ourselves to move on quickly or berate ourselves for feeling the way we do. Speaking to ourselves as a best friend means allowing ourselves the time and grace to process our emotions without judgment. Self-encouragement is another key element of this practice. A best friend believes in us even when we doubt ourselves. They remind us of our potential, of all the things we've already accomplished, and of our ability to succeed. When faced with a challenge, they tell us, "You've got this," or "I believe in you." Speaking to ourselves this way can be incredibly empowering. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong or on our perceived shortcomings, we shift our inner dialogue toward optimism and self-belief. Telling ourselves, "I trust in my abilities," or "I have what it takes to succeed," creates a sense of confidence and courage that helps us face challenges head-on. Moreover, being our own best friend means offering ourselves love and acceptance, not just in moments of success, but also in moments of imperfection. A true best friend doesn't only stand by us when we're at our best, they're there through the lows, the mistakes, and the messy parts of life. In the same way, we must learn to love and accept ourselves, not just when we're achieving or meeting our goals, but when we're struggling and falling short. This unconditional self-love is the foundation of resilience. When we know that we are worthy of love and acceptance, no matter what, we are better equipped to navigate life's ups and downs without losing our sense of self-worth. One practical way to practice speaking to ourselves as our best friend is through daily affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements that help reprogram our subconscious mind and foster a more compassionate inner dialogue. We can start each day by affirming things like, I am worthy of love and kindness, I trust myself to make good decisions, or I am enough, just as I am. Over time, these affirmations become a natural part of how we speak to ourselves, gradually replacing the old, critical narratives with new, supportive ones. It's also helpful to pause during difficult moments and ask ourselves, what would I say to a friend in this situation? This question creates a mental shift, allowing us to step outside of the harsh, self-critical mindset and approach ourselves with more kindness. By imagining what we would say to someone we care about, we can tap into the well of empathy and understanding that we often withhold from ourselves. Ultimately, speaking to ourselves as our best friend is about cultivating a relationship with ourselves that is rooted in love, compassion, and respect. It's about recognizing that we are deserving of the same kindness we so freely give to others. When we learn to treat ourselves this way, we create a strong foundation of self-worth and inner peace. Life's challenges become more manageable because we know that no matter what, we have our own back. We become our own greatest source of comfort, encouragement, and strength. This shift in self-talk doesn't just change how we feel about ourselves, it transforms how we show up in the world, allowing us to live with greater confidence, joy, and authenticity.